Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We watch WWE SmackDown every Friday night, and we recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night. Except for tonight, we're doing something we've never done before. We are recapping an AEW wrestling show. AEW had a pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, and Dom and I watched it. Dom, thanks so much for joining me. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Except for a few clips online, I have not watched AEW. I'm one of the many cord cutters out there. I don't have TV service anymore, and there's no way to watch TNT or TBS unless you pay for TV service. So I've never seen real show from AEW here. This was new for me in many aspects, not just watching a pay-per-view, but just watching their product at all. Um, and I got to tell you, we got a lot to talk about here. So without further ado, John, don't bury the lead. What's the top story from our first foray into AEW Pro Wrestling program with this Double or Nothing pay-per-view, May 28th, 2023?
Well, it wasn't technically the main event. They did like a double main event, but I'm going to just pick this match out. MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, retains in the four-way match, which included Jungle Boy. It included Jungle Boy,
Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin. This was for the AEW World Championship. Fatal four-way heavyweight championship match. These can get messy. What did you think here? You think this was the better of the double main events? What did you think of, I mean, was it impressive as a fatal four-way or just overall? Like you're going to drive the bus here. You've seen these guys before. What did you think of their performance?
It's kind of on par of what I wanted to see, to be honest with
Okay.
you. It sort of made sense. And it's hilarious because one of my gimmicks is I don't like dives. And this had so many dives. It was like dive, 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 dive. I'm like, are they trolling me? I'm like, I don't like the dive. I don't like the dive. Even Jungle Boy, he had done one of the dives and he did it 3 times. Like the Seth Rollins dive is like almost like that, where he did the dive 3 times, and you're like, oh my god, so many dives. However, it was picked up. This was negated by the heel MJF winning in a headlock takeover, which I absolutely loved.
You like the headlock take,
Yeah.
and he won in heel fashion. Um, he pins Darby Allin. By the end of the match, MJF is bringing the title belt into the picture because it's no DQ. You can do that. Um, and eventually, Darby goes for a coffin drop on Jungle Boy Jack Perry after tossing Sammy Guevara off the top turnbuckle onto the floor. So now Darby thinks he's got Jungle Boy one-on-one, which you rarely get in a fatal four-way, so you better take advantage of it. Well, the coffin drop, your back is turned to your opponent, so you can't see what's going on. MJF slides the title belt on top of Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Darby Allin lands on the belt. He hurts, he knocks himself out in addition to delivering the shot to Jungle Boy. And that allows MJF to just grab him and then headlock, takeover, hook the leg, pinfall. MJF wins, leaves the ring first, yelling that he's bored with the lack of competition in AEW as he heads up the ramp. So truly heel win for MJF. Not just win, a heel win. Um, are there spots you want to get to? Because you mentioned the dives, and I got to tell you, as someone who hasn't watched a lot of AEW, here's what my early notes were on this. Early gang up on MJF. MJF sent out of the ring, and other three have what looks like a dance off. This is crap, and the crowd likes it. My next notes are Darby dives on MJF. Jack dives on Darby. Sammy top turn shooting star on all three on the floor. This is crap, and crowd chants, this is awesome. But things do pick up, like you said, and we get a good character finish. The heel wins in heel fashion.
They
Um,
did. They
what
did.
what moves did you like once it picked up?
Yeah, I think it picked up a little bit. Every time MJF was in there, he was doing great stuff. You can see why he's the champ, and he's head and
Okay,
shoulders. He's head and shoulders above everybody in that ring, on the mic and in the ring.
okay.
So MJF is in the ring, or I loved the four-way hold when they get like all the different holds, and then they all start to connect, and they all have a hold on each other. I thought
Yes.
that was really cool. That was a fun spot, and at least they were trying to do holds because for most of the match was just way too much diving.
Yeah, they did. I like that. That started with MJF grabbing a microphone and telling Sammy Guevara, who announced that he and his wife, girlfriend, whatever, I'm not sure of their exact relationship there, are expecting a child. And so MJF says, Sammy, you're going to need the money. Why don't you just lay down here? Like MJF's going to buy him off for this. And Sammy agrees, lays down on his back. MJF makes the cover. Sammy rolls him up, gets a 2.5 count. And then this spins into Darby getting a scorpion lock on Jack Perry while Sammy gets a Boston Crab on MJF. And it looks like MJF is going to tap out. But Jack prevents him from tapping out. And in the process of him grabbing MJF, they both kind of wriggle out of the holds. And that's what leads into each guy now getting some sort of submission hold on the other while they're all kind of changed together on the mat. Um, yeah, a neat little spot there. They made an effort to involve all four guys in some of the sequences rather than it just be, oh, two guys who just spilled out of the ring for some reason, and now it's really a one-on-one match. And then those two guys wake up, and then they have a one-on-one match while the other two guys spill out of the ring. They made an effort for this to be a fatal four-way, and I appreciate that effort, even though yes, it's messy at times with the fatal four-way. What other spots did you like that involved more than two guys, maybe all four of them? Because I had a couple more of those as well.
So I totally agree with that assessment that it was cool the way they were doing all four guys instead of two just dump out and then two guys
Mhm.
wrestle and then they play do-si-do in and out of the ring. Um, so I did like that. Um, for me, um, there was some stuff and there were so many high spots I just didn't really like. But one thing I have in my notes here is the crowd was chanting AEW during this match. That
Hmm.
is the best chant that you could possibly get. They're chanting AEW, AEW. So they're loving it, the crowd there.
Okay.
So say what you want. It's not my style or your style. Like we're not big dive people, but the crowd was rocking for it. Um, so uh, that's one of my
That's an ECW thing, isn't it? Like ECW was the first time that a crowd would chant the name of the promotion rather than the name of the wrestler.
mhm.
Like
That's
you'd
such
see
a
a great move, you'd chant for the wrestler, you'd cheer for the wrestler. No, ECW started just chanting ECW. And I think the AEW crowd is kind of the reincarnation of that 20 something years later.
yeah, it is an ECW style crowd, and those
Okay.
crowds are awesome. So there's nothing wrong with that.
They
Um,
can be. Some of the moves that had all four guys, the first one where they really got all four together doing something, Jack Perry sits up from a tree of woe as Sammy and Darby are above him fighting on that turnbuckle. He winds up German suplexing Sammy off the top turnbuckle. Sammy's got a hold of Darby, so he winds up suplexing Darby, a regular suplex overwards, and they both hit MJF, who had been stalking over from the opposite side of the ring, thinking that he's got his pick of the litter there with all three guys tied up, and instead that winds up in them all crashing into MJF. That was pretty neat. Sammy frog splash MJF shortly after that for 2.5 count. A little after that, I saw this, and then Tony Schiavone on commentary said the same thing. Each guy looked like they were channeling another wrestler. Darby hits a scorpion death drop. Sting is his mentor friend in AEW. Sammy hits Jericho's code breaker on Darby. Sammy is had been part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. I know that from clips and from people complaining about how they didn't like it, although some people did like it. And then Jungle Boy hits the kill switch on Sammy, and I guess he was sort of a Christian Cage guy for a while.
Yeah.
And then MJF recovers and hits a crossroads on Jack, channeling the now jumps to another promotion, Cody Rhodes. And I'm watching that going, okay, that's cool. Because I've noticed that AEW, even though they're a young promotion, they have a lot of older stars, and we saw them on this pay-per-view, and they are trying to play up the history. So even though they're a recent promotion, they are at least trying to steep themselves in the history of wrestling, at least from the last 2 or 3 decades.
Yeah.
And that's a cool spot.
You know what? I mean, you heard it on the mic today. Tony Schiavone is on the mic.
Yep.
Jim Ross is on the mic.
Yes.
Guys from the 90s, you know?
Taz was a color commentator for a long time.
Taz,
he had a neck injury, and so his wrestling career really ended early on him. And he was a long-time announcer. Well, yes, I do recognize those guys. We'll get more into the announcing a little later, because I will never criticize Michael Cole so harshly ever again. But I did like Tony mentioning that there, although it was obvious enough for someone who doesn't really watch AEW a lot to get it. Another things, there were 3 straight Canadian destroyers on different guys by different guys. And at that point, I wrote down Spot Fest. I'm no longer counting Spot Fest near falls. And it was too bad because they were trying. Like, there was another sequence later on where there were tons of pinfall reversals, not like high spot pinfalls, but guys trying to reverse and counter and jump into the mix. Those were neat. MJF sells a left arm injury. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's the psychology. That's the psych spot. And I like that. I'm impressed that a heel would do that.
Yeah.
Because heels don't usually sell injuries. MJF as a heel playing the psych spot. I like that from him.
He was in the press conference because AEW does a press conference after the shows, and he had his wrist all taped up, so he was still selling it even after the show. So
and there may have been some legitimacy to it. He seemed to have it extra padded compared to his right forearm and wrist throughout the match. So maybe it's one of those things where there's a little bit of realism to it, and you might as well play into it. You might as well lean into it. So I did like that. Did you like how they brought in the foreign objects? I mean, MJF teases that he's going to hit somebody with this ring, which I guess is his thing. He knocks people out with this huge ring, except Darby sneaks up from behind with the skateboard and hits him. And then eventually, at that point, Darby then goes for the coffin drop, hits it, and he does the headlock takeover on MJF and almost gets the 3 count. And then later on, MJF brings the belt in. So there were some foreign objects in the ring, but it wasn't a ton. For a match that was no DQ and could have had a ton of that stuff, I will also give them credit for not letting it go in that direction.
Yeah.
Like, this could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
And instead it was pretty good.
Yeah. I think that they did a good job not forcing too many weapons in there. Overall, the show tonight, I definitely would say one thing I would change or would like to see change is, like, every match doesn't have to have a zillion weapons. Like,
No.
we just get a damn regular match sometimes. I think it's a little. That was one of my little takeaways. I was like, wow, another weapon's been drawn. But like we've seen in every match, so it starts to become boring. It doesn't, or less impactful.
There's a problem with that, though. The third match of the night was the AEW World Tag Team Championship match with Mark Briscoe as the special referee. It was FTR, Cash and Dax, the champions, versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And I write, this is the first good wrestling match, and the crowd is dead.
Yeah.
So the AEW crowd does not appreciate that kind of grappling and switches and reversals and you know that really hand-to-hand combat stuff. They prefer the other stuff, and maybe it's because they've been conditioned that way, or maybe it's because they've planned to have that small niche audience, like they're trying to recapture some combination of ECW and some of the mystique of what Japan is like.
Mm.
uh, but and maybe we go into that match next, because I thought it was a good wrestling match, and it was for a belt. um, and it had some nostalgia factor with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal involved.
Is this
um,
so? Just to cut you off here, what did
sure.
you think of this main event match? Did you think it was a good match? Do you think it was okay? Or
I thought it was above average as fatal four ways go.
Mhm.
um, I thought it was below average as far as main event world championship title bouts go. But
I would
some of
agree.
that was the format. I know storyline wise they wanted to get all four of these guys in. I kept hearing it was a four pillars match. That the idea was that this was supposed to tell the story of longtime AEW guys who had been early adopters of the AEW brand and who had stuck with them and who really
And hey,
embodied the AEW style.
Dom, I just wanted to say one thing. We have some people watching here. I see some people
Yes,
on YouTube, a couple other platforms
fantastic.
we're using. So if you're on YouTube, feel free to just chat us right now. Like, tell us what you thought of the show, and we can chat about it. So don't be shy. Go ahead and shoot anything to us on the comments.
Do not be shy, especially since I am a novice to AEW. And if there are people out there who want to, fill in the noob, go ahead and do it. Because I have some opinions based on what I'm watching tonight, but it's not going to be a lot of the storyline stuff that I can usually give you when we do WWE that we've been watching for 7 or 8 months. Um,
Yeah.
so what do you think of this tag title match? I thought it was a good wrestling match, but the crowd didn't seem to be into it. Um, the
Um,
FTR
FTR.
retains after Jeff Jarrett gets mad and starts trying to slap Mark Briscoe, the special referee, and instead Briscoe slaps him back, and that drops him right into a double team move. And FTR winds up pinning Jeff Jarrett for this to retain there. What do you think of this match overall? Because there were some things in it that I liked, but it clearly stuck out to me as, oh, this is not totally an AEW style match. It got that way at the end with the guitar shots.
So I'll say this. AEW, they try to do the smorgasbord of wrestling.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they'll have the death match stuff, but then they have really good technical wrestling. They
Okay.
have like people from Japan, and they do the strong style wrestling, which
Okay.
is the stuff we would like too. But they make it a point to have all the matches feel way different than the other match. And I think you could see that tonight, right? Like all the
Yeah.
matches felt all way different. As far as the tag match is concerned, I'm watching it with my buddy Steve Locastro, and he
Okay.
loves Jeff Jarrett. I do not love Jeff Jarrett.
Okay.
I am dumbfounded as to why he's even involved with this. I think it was good enough. FTR, they're fantastic. They really are.
Okay.
They're the best tag team in wrestling. No question.
I
Like
did like them.
by far. Like better than the Usos, better than Kevin and Sammy. Like just
Okay.
yeah, for sure. In the
Hmm.
ring, not necessarily the storyline stuff, which is really what they're doing with Kevin and Sammy and
Hmm.
the Usos, but in the ring, incredible stuff.
Okay.
I was in Philadelphia once, and I went to an AEW show, and the two brothers were in a tournament, and the two tag team FTR, they were in a singles match against each other, and the singles match was like a classic.
Okay. They
Um,
know each other so well, and they're both great athletes.
and it was
Okay.
all old school wrestling,
All right.
all of it. You
Yeah, we
know,
saw some of that in here. Take me through some of the things that stood out to you from this match and what made this match. AEW likes to be different match to match. This match, there was some good tag team wrestling and especially some grappling. What stands out to you, even if it involves Jeff Jarrett, who don't like? He's 56 years old, and I gotta say, he looked good for a 56-year-old.
looks like $1,000,000, no questions asked. He looks like $1,000,000. I should say this: it's not that I don't like Jeff Jarrett. I just feel like they have a lot of young talent on their roster that should be highlighted over him. Jay Lethal should be tagging with somebody else, and that would be a better option than
Jay
Jeff.
Lethal's been wrestling since 2001. He's only 38 years old. He started wrestling. He entered a tournament when he was 16. So for those of you who've been like Jay Lethal, he's been around forever. He's only 38. So
It's
yeah,
crazy.
and his body has changed over the years. He's thicker in the thighs now. He looks maybe a little more mass on him. I mean, he's not like dad bod, but he's got more mass on him than he did like 15 years ago, just
Mhm.
because he's no longer 25.
Yeah,
But
and he's
yeah,
completely
Jay
bald too.
Lethal looked good, and he's now shaving the hair because maybe it left him.
It left him.
But like spots that you liked in or exchanges that you liked or grappling things that
I
you liked.
liked. You might not have liked this one, but I loved it. The
Right?
guitar shot to the ref. Um, so whoever Jeff Jarrett's wife is, when she smashed Aubrey Edwards with the guitar, because Aubrey Edwards always is like a tough guy ref and will like hold people back and like re- she's a
The
little
female ref who ran down after the guitar shot to Mark Briscoe that knocked him out. He was supposed to be the ref. So then we
yeah.
get another ref running down, Sanjay Dutt's blocking her from getting there, and she finally sidesteps Sanjay, and she walks right into, as you're saying,
The guitar shot, which is just a hilarious thing to see, because it's like who guitar shots a referee. Also, what when they get disqualified?
they would, but the ref's knocked out and can't disqualify them.
Like when she comes to, it's a oh yeah, that's a DQ. That really is probably it.
Yeah, right. Mark Briscoe could have done that, but he decided to, shake it off and continue the match.
I love that spot. I thought the match was pretty good. Any spots in particular stick out to you?
Jay Lethal doing a dragon screw on Cash. Talking
Oh yeah,
about Japan strong style. The great Muda, a dragon screw. Hey, man.
yeah,
Um, Jeff Jarrett gets a figure four on Cash, but it's broken up by Dax with a flying headbutt from the top turnbuckle. Um, some of the good tag team stuff. Jarrett tags Jay Lethal, who temporarily stops Cash from tagging, but eventually Cash wriggles out and makes the hot tag. So good tag team wrestling. Dax and Jay do some good standing switches that turn into a German suplex, then another, then reversals. Dax hits a brain buster. It's our first real near fall on Jay Lethal. Um, Dax and Jay fighting on the turnbuckles, and Jay's chopping him, sending Dax to the canvas, but he takes too long to follow up, so Dax catches him and hits a top turn superplex, and then a power bomb, and Sanjay Dutt has to break up the pin. So we get Sanjay Dutt, who I remember as being a real good wrestler, but I guess he's now just valet wearing a suit. Um,
yeah.
okay. Um, Good stuff all around there. Then it just kind of turns into the guitar shots and the schmaz at the end. But for a while, some decent grappling there. I do like Jay Lethal and what he's able to do in the ring. Um, I'm impressed that Jeff Jarrett can still do a lot of the things that he's doing at his age, and that's not the first time I'm going to say that in this review about a wrestler from way back. I mean, I go way back with Jeff Jarrett. Let me tell you how far back I go with Jeff Jarrett. JEFF, JARRETT, Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
I got his whole catchphrase from the early 90s. Okay. I go back 30 years with Jeff Jarrett.
Was he in WCW or WWE when he was doing that?
I think that was his WWE gimmick
Mm.
before, but there was a while in the mid 90s where he was bouncing back maybe on like 1 year contracts and kept playing one promotion off the other. But I remember Jeff Jarrett from way back then with the long blonde hair, almost mullet style,
Mm.
and wearing the ring garb where it was the long pants and the shirt that was like shredded, but shredded so perfectly that it looked like just stripes or bars or something. Weird stuff. He was the cowboy. That's where the guitar shots come from. He was supposed to be the country singer wrestler, sort of like the Honky Tonk Man, but whereas the Honky Tonk Man was the Elvis impersonator, I guess Jeff Jarrett was some other sort of impersonator. But he's kind of reinvented his gimmick over the year, but he's kept the guitar shots. So now people are probably wondering, why is he carrying a guitar to the ring? I remember why he's carrying a guitar to the ring, because his first gimmick was a country singer thing. Because if you don't know that, it's kind of weird that a guy's carrying a guitar to the ring.
He's got such a high voice, and he's got like a little bit of a lisp and a southern drawl, Jeff
He
Jarrett.
does. He does.
And so I always hated him as a child because he was really annoying, which is he was doing his job. He was being a heel.
He was a heel, yes.
So I never really liked him, and I still don't like him, probably from that.
Probably that's okay. He's a heel. You're not supposed to like him.
So yeah,
I don't have much more about this match. I just thought it was interesting that we were bringing up wrestling, and this was a title match that I saw some good wrestling on. Where do you want to go next? What's the next big story from this pay-per-view? We got 8 matches that turned into 9 matches that turned into 10. So where do you want to go next?
Yeah, let's keep it moving.
You're calling this match here for us since you're the AEW guy.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say this was the match of the night.
Okay.
So my match of the night was Christian Cage versus Wardlow in the ladder match.
Okay.
I loved it. And here's
TNT Championship ladder match. Wardlow retains.
Yes, and Wardlow retains the title and wins over Christian Cage. And I'm going to tell you why. There's a couple reasons I like this. I'm a sucker for ladder matches. Okay. And I used to do ladder matches all the time in NJCW, and those
you did always, a few of those. I remember.
They were always the funnest, and they were so much fun. And we'd kill each other, and after killing each other, the crowds would be so into it too, because we always were just doing normal matches, and we weren't doing too much. We weren't doing any gimmick matches really. But
it was special.
It was special, and there was something that's undeniable when you're in front of somewhere between 50 and 100 people, and you want to entertain them. You start beating the hell out of each other with a ladder.
Yeah,
they will be entertained. So, anyways, those ladder matches were so fun. So I'm really partial to them.
Did this hold up as a ladder match for you then?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
they're great spots. There's a crotch spot with Wardlow, where he got crotched. Like there's a ladder up a
yes.
And then I didn't see that coming. I thought he would fall or hit or get hit there, and it was just crotch spot. I'm like, oh yeah. That was
Christian Cage sets up a ladder that's basically parallel because the ringside barrier and the ring itself are about the same height. So he spans a ladder on there. He was going to try and hit a move on Wardlow. Wardlow was going to try and hit a move on Christian Cage. Eventually, they're both standing on there. Wardlow loses his balance, and boom.
Yeah.
And he sells it for several minutes afterwards. He's selling the nuts.
Right. Yeah. I love that spot. The big spot, which I felt like was the spot of the night.
Okay.
Is Wardlow doing the Swanton bomb off of a very high ladder onto a table onto Luchasaurus. So
Christian Cage's lackey who had come out to interfere.
Yes. Yeah, Cage's lackey. That's exactly who it is. So that was great.
And that was the highest ladder out there.
It was nuts. That spot was nuts.
That was a very high ladder. It was onto two tables that were set up right next to each other. So yeah, the two tables broke off the highest ladder they had. I noted that one as well. By that time, Arn Anderson was down in the ring, who looks not well. Arn is an older wrestler, former wrestler. He does not look like Jeff Jarrett and some of the other people we will mention. But he did get involved in the match to try and help out Wardlow, who I guess is kind of his protege a little bit. So Arn Anderson helps out a little there. By the end of the match, Arn looks like, he's been in the biggest war there was of the night. But yeah, well, Wardlow wins. What other spots did you like here? I had a great spot that I loved that was camera work.
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay, right after the spot you talked about, where Wardlow is out near the entrance ramp with those two tables, they have a camera just ring height, and they show you Christian Cage's eyes peering up from the opposite side of the ring because he'd been knocked out. So he's just coming to his senses,
yeah.
peering over the ring and seeing Wardlow incapacitated on the tables, and now it's his chance.
Yeah.
He puts a ladder up, starts climbing. He's almost there when Arn Anderson, who looks 100 years old, climbs into the ring wearing his very stuffed tracksuit, tilts the ladder just enough that Cage falls off into Wardlow, who catches him and power bombs him. And that's how Wardlow gets enough time to climb the ladder, retrieve the belt that was high above the ring there, and retain. One other thing, apparently, Christian Cage's ring attire. The crowd is chanting at him, turtleneck, turtleneck. He's wearing a turtleneck tank top. Would you like to explain that to me? Person who has watched AEW more than I have. What's with the turtleneck cheer and a guy wearing a turtleneck tank top?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what that meant.
Does Christian Cage normally wear turtlenecks? Like, has he gone to the George Steinbrenner School of Fashion? Is he a guy who comes out for promos in a turtleneck? And so, like, now his ring attire has that same gimmick where it's a turtleneck, even though he wants his arms free now. And the crowd, whatever it was, the crowd picked up on it, and he got turtleneck chants, which to me are much cooler than AEW chants. Like, pick on the wrestler for something he's doing. Turtleneck, turtleneck. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. I've got nothing else on this match other than it was obviously a ladder match with tables. It was a different kind of match.
Yeah, I just wanted to hop in here. So two things, really. The turtleneck thing, I don't understand why they chant that, but that's hilarious when they have their own things to chant more than like, this is awesome, or whatever. Like whatever the stereotypical thing is to cheer, that's cool. And
turtleneck shows you're paying attention.
Yes, for sure.
And so you sound like you had something else. What else there? I know you're checking to see who's on our live stream watching here. We've got like 4 different live streams going on right now, folks.
Yeah.
This is new ground for us, and John's our production manager and our on-air talent for this. So if you see him peer down off camera, that's what he's doing. So what do you got for us? What else did you?
I wanted to mention. We've got people on Twitch watching too.
Fantastic.
So if you're on Twitch and you're currently watching, don't be shy. We love comments, and we love,
especially if you saw the pay-per-view. What's your take?
Yeah, and maybe that's just a blanket question to you guys.
What's with the turtleneck chant? Come on, Twitch, fill us in.
Yeah, Twitch, can you help us out?
Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are. What's with the turtleneck?
Mhm. So, anyways,
Where would you like to go after this? Lots to get through on this card.
yeah,
We
there
may
is a
go
lot to get
lightning
through.
round later if there's stuff that we neither one of us really had much to say about. But I think at this point there should be still stuff that we want to sink our teeth into. Where do you want to go?
So I picked the ladder match. I really like that. I thought it was the match of the night. Wardlow wins and I felt like Christian Cage is an excellent heel, and he really showed it tonight. What was a match you want to talk about, Dom? I'll kick it over to you.
TBS Championship apparently is a women's title, whereas the
Mm-hmm.
TNT champion was a men's title.
Mm-hmm.
Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie, and this turns into a bonus match later. This was one where I wrote pretty good wrestling match. Crowd is mostly dead for wrestling,
Yes.
but I liked it, and not just for a women's match, for just any match. I think this was some of the best one-on-one match work that we had was Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie. They played up that Jade Cargill coming in this match was 59-0 in AEW. That's her singles record. And Taya Valkyrie only had one loss, and maybe it was to Jade. So this was a big deal here. Okay. And just seeing how each of the women perform in the ring, I could see why this is a big deal and why they are some of the best people they have in AEW. There's one spot where Taya counters a sleeper with a blue thunder bomb for a 2.5 count. I like that. I like being able to apply holds and counter holds and then turn them into some high impact spots. And the
Yeah,
blue thunder bomb looked great.
I have one from this match too.
Good,
Um,
go for it.
there was a submission done by Jade onto Taya, and I don't know what the specifics were, but it ties into the thing I always mention on this show. Women are more flexible than men,
Okay.
and they should utilize that as workers. And Taya was able to get Jade on board with to do this submission to her, and it looked great. And I don't know what it's called. And
Okay.
I don't want to really get too deep into it, but I thought that was a great
I
little
may have had the same thing that I wrote down as well, and for the same reason. By the way, Jade Cargill winds up winning this match to go to 60-0. Jade, after that 2.5 count, regains her composure, goes for a springboard crossbody, but Taya gets the knees up. They both hit the canvas. Eventually, that's where Taya locks in a variation of the STF. But Jade gets close to the ropes, so Taya pulls her back, and then, like you're saying, grabs the arms, pulls them back on her shoulder blades, and then stomps her in the back.
that looked nasty.
Stomps her in the back, like face first in, and she winds up going face first into the ring. And Taya then gets a 2.5 count, then hits a sit down face buster for 2.5. She has a special name for it. It's a sit down base buster. Jade eventually regains the advantage and hits a similar looking move that she has her own special name for. They both sit down face busters. She winds up getting the pinfall there. So I like that each performer can hit these high impact spots on the other. Apparently, Jade's is just that much better because she got the pinfall rather than a kick out at 2.5. And then what happens right after that? Post match, we get a male valet in the ring, Mark Sterling, who
Yeah.
apparently his nickname is Smart Mark Sterling. I like it, Smart Mark. I get it. I'm with you there. Aha. He makes a open challenge to the locker room that nobody is any good to face Jade. She can go through the entire locker room, and then there's a huge pop for someone who comes out that everybody almost is in this pay per view is new to me. Do you know Chris Statlander? And is she a big deal that she returned here?
Yes, I know Chris Statlander. She's okay. I wasn't like I thought it was going to be Sasha Banks.
Ah,
So I was looking forward to that, which is Monet.
Mercedes
Mercedes
Monet.
Monet. Yeah. And I bet you it would have been Mercedes Monet too, if but I think she's hurt. So they must have
Legitimately hurt. Okay.
they must have plugged Statlander in on that spot.
She
I
had been
mean,
hurt. They were playing up that she had been out of action for injury for close to a year. So this was a surprise return. Is she a big enough name? Do you remember her? And is she a big enough deal that she should be walking out almost Money in the Bank style from WWE to kind of claim a win here? Because she winds up beating Jade with a
so
tombstone for the win.
here's the thing. Jade Cargill has had the title for 60 wins, and she has been a rough worker. She has a great body. She can talk. She's got the attitude and the charisma when she goes down there. But in the ring, she has really struggled.
Okay.
Until tonight was her breakout match. Tonight, I thought she looked really good. There was one little complaint. There's one little spot that didn't go too great, but
Okay. Go
whatever.
ahead.
So I was like, damn, Jade's doing pretty good. Maybe she's picking it up because she never wrestled before. And they kind of like threw the belt on her and let her sink or swim kind of thing.
She wasn't an indie darling before getting to AEW and getting on TV.
No, she's a
Okay.
bodybuilder.
Impressive for her.
So she ended up winning. Okay, so Statlander came out and challenges her while she's already all beat up, and then she wins the title.
Yep.
I'm like, that's a heel thing to do. You're to
It
come out.
is.
First of all, that's a heel thing to do.
Yes.
Second of all, like, and what's her name? She was supposed to be the heel is Jade, and she's like, yeah, let's do it, let's do it. I'm like, no, you're the heel. You should run away. So like the heel face dynamic was all screwed up, and I don't think it was a great way for her to drop the title. She should
No.
have dropped the title to Chris Statlander in a real match, or drop the title to whoever
Taya
she.
Valkyrie tonight in what apparently was a rematch for the two of them.
Taya was good.
Yeah.
I was
She
like,
seemed like a solid worker.
yeah, Taya was good, and she's got a wild body. But yeah, like Taya's an interesting person.
Mhm.
Um, but
She looks like a female version of a Samoan almost. Lower center of gravity, very surprisingly athletic, maybe for having that lower center of gravity.
she's like a hoss.
Yeah, I mean, not chiseled the way Jade Cargill is, but certainly has that strength to her where she can execute moves. I mean, she went move for move with Jade Cargill, and I mean, her sit down facebuster looked just as good as Jade's.
Yeah, but hey, it is what it is. The belt's off Jade. I like Jade a lot.
Okay,
Um, I, I know that she's not the best worker in the world, but I just think the look, the attitude, she can talk on the mic, and a lot of girls have trouble talking on the mic, and a lot of wrestlers in general have trouble talking on the mic. So she can
mm,
do that. She just has to get some of the fundamentals of pro wrestling down. And
okay.
maybe in the downtime she'll be able to. Maybe she'll take a break now. But I thought it was odd way for her to drop it. I was hoping she would drop it. I would have rather her just drop it in a regular match, but yeah, that's
Ronda Rousey just dropped the belt the same way in the WWE.
and that sucked too. So
Yeah, right.
I don't
And
know.
it was surprising because it was like Ronda's only good match. He was like, "Oh my goodness, where has this Ronda Rousey been?" So tonight you're going, "Where has this Jade Cargill been?"
And I know I'm being cranky, but I it seemed like the crowd liked it. So maybe it's something they liked and I just didn't like. So
Yeah, the crowd seemed to pop for surprises and weapons.
all right, Don, we got to keep it moving here because we got a bunch of
Yeah.
matches.
Were there any other big matches that you really enjoyed and had something big to say about?
Um, that I really enjoyed.
Or
Um,
that you hated so much, but you have a lot to say about? Because big stories can be this was great or this was underwhelming. Big stories can be big because they
what
fell
did you
flat.
think of the House of Black versus the House of Black?
Versus the Acclaimed,
The
and they
Acclaim.
call him Daddy Ass. It's Billy Gunn,
Yeah.
another older wrestler from more than 2 decades ago. Billy Gunn looks good, and he looks like he could still work.
Oh,
So
he looks like $1 million.
good for some of these guys who've kept themselves in shape and who still go out there and can work physically. I thought this was another good wrestling match. Here's my notes for this one. Another good wrestling match, but crowd is dead. Does the crowd hate pro wrestling? And this was an especially good tag team match. One of the Acclaimed guys, Bowens, I don't know his full name. I'm seeing these guys for the first time.
Bowens,
Uh,
yeah.
Bowens sells that he's got a bad left knee now. It's getting worked over by everyone. He's been in the ring a long time with no tag. Good tag team wrestling by the House of Black, cutting off the ring, double teaming, preventing a tag to the fresh opponent, sometimes cheap shotting the guys waiting for the tag to prevent the tag that way. Really great tag team wrestling. And Bowens was obviously the baby face here. And so this is classic baby face wrestling. The guy's getting beat up. He's taking a lot of punishment. Can he make a comeback? Can he make a hot tag? Eventually, Bowens, after so many close calls, tags in hot tag to Billy Gunn. Daddy ass.
Mm,
Gunn cleans house on all three of the members of the House of Black until he turns and walks into a Malachi spinning kick to the chin for the pinfall. House of Black retains. This apparently was the Trios Championship.
mm,
And it was an open house rules where there were some extra rules thrown in there, which really didn't play into the match much at all. It was just a good 6-man tag. I like this match. There was a lot of good wrestling and a lot of good tag team psychology. What do you think?
um, so I love the Acclaimed because
Okay.
I love their gimmick. They're hilarious.
Rapping at the entrance way.
Yeah. So, like I think that they go hard and like I think they say stuff that's edgy enough that you're like, whoa. Like
Okay.
when he said that you're the House of Black, but you don't have any black people.
Yes.
I love that line. And he
And
also
how do you
said,
get away with blackface to one of the guys?
yeah, yeah, how do you get away with blackface?
Yeah.
Which is great. And then he said the other guy looks like a reject from RuPaul's Drag Race, which is great. You know, yeah, you look like you're in male drag, like you're in female drag. So I love the gimmick, and those guys are way over. They were just a tag champs, and they work with Billy Gunn, who's like it's like a good combo, like these two guys and Billy Gunn because he was in DX, and they're kind of like DX with the
He
trash
did a
talking.
DX move at one point near the end. He
Hmm.
did the crotch chop in the X
Yeah,
thing there. Yes.
so I like those guys a lot. I'm not too big on the House of Black, not because of the work, but because of all the stupid lighting. So did you notice that in the arena the lights were down?
Yes, they
Yeah.
dimmed the lights on the crowd, and that made the ambiance a little worse for TV.
And that's why the crowd was quiet because the lights are off. It's not bright
Okay.
in there. It's dark. It's boring. It's sleepy.
Okay.
It's such a dumb thing. The crowd's not going to go crazy if the lights are off because it's dark. People start to get sleepy at these shows. It's 3 hours into a show, and there's been very little breaks. And you're going to turn all the lights off?
Yeah.
We're adults here. We're going to get sleepy.
You might as well hand them all chamomile tea.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, this was match number 6, so we were into the card by this point.
And,
House of Black, decent champions.
um,
Are you pleased that they retain?
um, I kind of wanted, my boys to go over the Acclaimed,
Okay.
but I'm okay with them having it. Like they just got the title, so let's see what they could do with it.
Okay.
Um, One other thing, just I wanted to mention, we have 2 people watching on Twitch right now. So
Okay.
thank you so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. And hey, shoot us some messages here in the chat. We can talk to you guys. So some of our people here in the in chat, thanks so much for joining. And don't be shy. Let us know what you think of the show.
Don't bury the lead. What's on your mind?
Yes. What's on your mind on Twitch?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. I just want to throw that out there and just say, hey, we really
absolutely.
welcome the people watching and then you guys talking to us. So anyway,
We have
without
not talked about one women's title match. We have not talked about either of the first 2 matches. And we have not talked about the other half of the double main event. Were these forgettable enough to do lightning round, or do you have something in there that you want to really talk about?
Well, I mean, what did you think of the main event? The second part of the main event?
Uh, I'm watching this and I'm going,
And I'll be right back. Maybe you can explain it.
oh no, I'm going to go off then. If you're not here to babysit me, I'm going off on this match.
um,
Okay, go do what you have to do. And when you come back, we'll see if there's still people watching us on Twitch.
okay, that's how bad it's gonna be. No, go in, go get them.
Okay, it's the Elite, which is Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Adam Page versus the Blackpool Combat Club, which is Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta. And apparently, Don Callis is now part of the Blackpool Combat Club after turning on the Elite. And eventually, we get a run in from Takeshita, who has friends in both factions but has sided with the Blackpool Combat Club. And he is instrumental in attacking Kenny Omega at the event, at the end, and he eventually gets pinned in part because of that sneak attack there by Yuta. So the Blackpool Combat Club wins this. I am not a fan of this kind of match because if there's this many weapons involved, why not just have a guy come out with a gun and shoot somebody? Like, what's the point? At this point, you're not showcasing hand to hand combat. You're not showcasing skill. You're just showcasing who got their hands on foreign objects first. And it's not like they did it just at the end, like in the tag match where the guitar shots just came in at the end and wound up backfiring. Like, this was the whole match was like this. And I'm just not into this because I know wrestling is contrived. But when I see this, it makes it more fake to me than guys grappling and reversals and hitting high spots that mean something rather than, it being just gratuitous. I know he's going to get up and hit his own spot soon anyway. The Elite were doing stuff that was so choreographed. I mean, there are times where I'm in this match and I'm going, I get that they're trying to be more adult, but is that because adults tend to like synchronized swimming and choreographed dancing? I mean, at some point, the Elite each of them is standing up with an opponent in the corners doing synchronized punches in the corners, and the crowd is counting along. Then they drop down from there and do synchronized super kicks. And then they do 4 synchronized dives. And I write down in my notes, it's like synchronized swimming. Like, I get it, you're athletes, but there are different ways to show that than being so obviously dance move choreographed and then ridiculous with the foreign objects. Like, there
No,
are better ways to showcase your athleticism than this. This to me is a mess. And this maybe is holding AEW back because I know there are problems with WWE and there is space in major professional wrestling in the US to take the audience that the WWE is neglecting. But I think when you go in this direction, you're neither fixing the problems that the WWE has, which is too much talking and not enough ring work, but you're also just, yeah, ECW was cool, but ECW was cool as a niche thing. Okay, how far you think you're going to get copying a promotion that managed to run out of money and go out of business during the hottest time in wrestling in the last 40 years?
yeah, agreed.
It's the kind of stuff where use it sparingly, use it when it makes sense, but to have an entire main event built around choreographed dance moves and foreign objects, I don't get that. And I'm in the minority for this program because the crowd seemed to enjoy it.
I I will have to say this. I don't think you're the only one that thinks this. I watched it with Steve tonight, and we were both like, "All right, this is something, I guess." And then we're like, "There's no, you can't even give it a star rating. It's not wrestling." It's just entertainment at that point. It was just weird spots, and it was just entertainment. What could have been
Was
because
it entertaining though? To me, it was just like, okay, when's this going to end? Like other matches tonight were more entertaining.
so I'd have to say this. Um, yeah, it really was like, when's this going to end? And imagine their four, and the 4-on-4, and they had a regular match. It would have been great.
An
You
8-man
got
tag.
Daniel Bryanson, you
Yeah,
got Cesaro, you got Kenny Omega. Like, these are huge guys. And what do? John Moxley, to not as high as an extent as Omega and
mhm.
Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, but Moxley, yeah, he can go. You got a bunch of guys in there that can go. Why not just have a regular freaking match? And why don't you just have a cage match if you wanted to make it more aggressive? Okay,
Mhm.
make it a cage match. You don't do this where they're just all over the place and the cameras were shaky, so you couldn't really. It was like making me dizzy, and there's just random stupid shit going on.
It had
Yeah,
to be
it
tough
was.
for the live crowd to follow, and it was tough for the TV viewing crowd to follow, I thought.
Yeah, and then the freaking song playing like for
Oh
10
my
minutes.
goodness, they're playing Wild Thing forever. And I'm sitting, I at some point, right, some bar band is still playing Wild Thing at the entranceway. And then one of the refs gets busted open, and then Tony goes, "The damn band is still playing." So it's like, thank you, Tony, for catching what I was talking about there. Um, that was one of the good comments of the night, and the band keeps playing until the Bucks run up the entranceway and double super kick the lead singer.
Yes, to a pop, as it should be, because everybody didn't want to hear that anymore.
They
Um,
were done singing the Wild Thing song, right?
yeah, I feel like we could talk about this one for ages, so maybe we could just move off of it, just so
I
we
feel
can.
like I don't want to talk about it for ages. What else do you have? What else do you have for quick hits? I mean, early stuff. Um,
The battle royale, or did you catch that or no?
I did catch the 20. It was for Orange Cassidy's International Championship. The final four are Big Bill, Swerve Strickland, Orange Cassidy, the champion who winds up retaining, and Penta. Um, Taz at one point says about Big Bill, you may be wondering why his name is Big Bill. Well, his name is Bill, and he's freaking big. I miss Michael Cole. Um, Big Bill eliminates Penta. Swerve Strickland eliminates Big Bill as Big Bill tries to press slam Orange Cassidy out of the ring, which means Orange Cassidy is not eliminated. He and Swerve Strickland wind up battling on the ring apron, and it's Orange Cassidy. After Swerve Strickland is dazed, he kicks his hand off from holding the rope, and Swerve Strickland just teeters off, which is a good finish. He teeters off. He doesn't get like thrown out. He's like trying to hang on, and he just falls to the floor. Orange
Hey,
Cassidy retains. As battle royals go, it's a mess, but all right, battle royals are all about you cheer for everybody, especially the big names, to get a spot somewhere in the match. But eventually, you want it to pare down to four guys, and then what happens? And that's why I didn't write down anything until they got to the final four. I'm like, I forget it. Just when we get to the final four, I'll start typing.
I think some of the luchadors were doing really cool stuff that I hadn't seen in battle royales. Bandito is one of the luchadors that was in there, and he's like a big, strong luchador. So he's not like a stereotypical luchador. Like, he's a big old hoss,
Okay.
and he had some guy up in a suplex and was holding him there, and like everybody was wrestling around him, and he's just holding him in the suplex, and like all the stuff's going on and going on and going on. So he's doing like
Mm-hmm.
the extended, uh,
Big vertical suplex.
yeah. So he held him up there for so long, and the crowd was loving that, and I like that too.
Okay.
Outside of that, hey, I really like Swerve Strickland.
Okay.
Um, he's pretty damn good. We've
So you
liked
like
him.
him lasting to the end there,
I
being in the
wanted him
last
to win.
pairing. You wanted him to win, okay?
Yeah, I'm a little sick of Orange Cassidy having the
Okay.
belt, so I wanted him to win. But this match I think was fun. It was entertaining. It was a good opener, um, and it actually kind of showcases the strength of the roster. Because I was looking around, I'm like, this got some pretty good guys in it. So,
And
anyways,
these are like the battle royals like this are usually the afterthoughts of the roster because it's people who are not involved in another high profile title match or grudge match elsewhere on the card.
this
So
was
this is depth. This is
this
some good depth, right?
in style of NJCW Battle Royale, where we would throw whoever had never wrestled before into the Battle Royale, or people that weren't doing anything that night, or Fran would dress in a mask and he'd be in the Battle Royale, but like you
Yeah.
wouldn't go in there if you were a top person, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yes. Other matches to talk about because we're getting at the hour mark here. So
Worst match of the night, this unsanctioned match between Chris Jericho and Adam Cole. Did you like this match?
no.
Neither did I. Jim Ross gives the quote of the night here. I don't think Chris Jericho has ever been better in his career than he is now. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? I mean, Jericho, kudos to him for keeping in decent shape, but Chris Jericho was an elite wrestler in his prime. And like he can't do everything that he used to do now, obviously. But then to say, like, in this match was just a grudge match, and this was one of those storyline matches that I'm not privy to how much heat there was supposed to be in the storyline, but I'm not impressed. Eventually, the ref stops it as Adam Cole is pounding on a defenseless Jericho who can't even get his hands up to block the punches with the chain. Ref stops it. Cole wins. Um, there were run-ins with the women, and apparently this is leading to a mixed tag match on one of the AEW programs this coming week. I think they announced it for Wednesday's show, whichever one that is. Like that is that Dynamite?
Yeah.
Wednesday Night Dynamite. So this match, weird that you would use your pay-per-view match to set up a free TV Wednesday show match.
Yep. And
Shouldn't it be
then
the other way around? And this match was nothing special. Even if I didn't know the storyline, like I'm not impressed. And the comment from JR was just insane.
I think you knew all you need to know when first of all, it started off really stupid. Because they had all this big high spots and all this madness. And then Adam Cole and Jericho slow down and try to have a regular match. But all this madness already happened. So the whole
Yep.
flow of the match is all screwed up. How about none of that happens? We don't need Sabu. We don't need Roderick Strong. We don't need anybody on the side. Like, we just need to just don't have all these run-ins. It just didn't do anything for their match. The thing is,
And they figured that early and they got rid of them. Like they had the guys fight up the ramp and out of the ringside area. So it became a one-on-one match.
yes, but you didn't need all the high spots being used so early in the match. So then you're suddenly like slowing. Then you got to slow it back down. We picked it up too fast here. Did you hear JR on commentary say like, "What the hell are you doing?"
When people got a little too close to
Yeah,
him at the announce table, I did hear that.
yeah. What was that?
I don't know. I think maybe Sanjay. No, not Sanjay Dutt. That was another match. Somebody else in Jericho's Appreciation Society. He had a lot of people out there early.
Yeah,
And yeah, maybe they did get too close, and JR wasn't expecting the spot at that moment. Because obviously the announce table is probably clued in when there's going to be a spot near the announce table because they have to get out of the way.
yeah. I mean, JR is an old man, so I don't blame him for scolding the wrestlers.
Yeah.
But outside of that one line from JR, I really like him a lot on a commentary.
Okay.
I've always really liked him, and I like him a lot for this specific reason. He does a great job at getting baby faces over. So
Okay.
he knows what to say to get baby faces over. Like when Wardlow won the match, there's just some silence there, and he just says he's a big athletic man and he's going to do a lot of great things with this company.
Yeah, I'd heard that.
And it's in JR with his twang. He's a
Yep.
big athletic man, and he's going to do a lot of great things for this company. Just that lets you know, okay, this guy's good. I approve him. JR approves him. That kind of thing. And
JR adds an air of legitimacy to it.
yes,
And he is one of the guys who tries to do play-by-play. One of my problems with the AEW announcing is there's too many guys in the booth.
Oh yeah.
I don't like three-man booths.
No.
There's too many guys trying to get. It's like too many guys in a wrestling ring. Everybody's got to get their spot.
Yeah, everybody's got to get their shit in.
Right?
As
It just becomes a mess. I'm like, oh, stop it.
Sorry. So
we did not mention Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm. This was apparently another storyline match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Tony Storm beats Jamie Hayter after her friends Ruby Soho and Saraya attack Jamie Hayter at the entrance. So it's a 3-on-1 targeting Jamie Hayter's injured right arm, and that comes into play. Eventually, Tony Storm wins it. She's the new champ. Not much to say about this match. This is another one of those things that was more storyline, more sizzle than steak.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been following AEW like you have, was the sizzle here?
Yeah.
Okay.
This they got something going here with this heel faction who are just spray paint and stuff. I think they have. I think two of the things today, they weren't great matches, but it's solidifying heel factions that they can move forward with, and they could be for real.
It's this one, and who else did you really want to highlight?
Be the Blackpool Combat Club
from the other half of the main event.
Yeah, with Cesaro, the guys that are in all black. Yeah.
Yep.
With Cesaro.
Not the House of Black, the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, they're a good one. House of Black, I'm not a big fan of. I don't need all that shit in my life. I just don't need all the lights off. Like keep the lights on. I'm like a cranky old man. I can't see. So that's the AEW show. Dom, some quick hits here. Maybe we can keep going, or some cheap heat.
Sure, if you've got it.
What did you think of your first ever AEW show?
This wasn't worth $50 for me. This was not. It's not my style, and unfortunately, the live crowds that they get really are into the stuff that they do. Like the crowd was dead for real athletic wrestling and reversals and sequences and grappling and hand-to-hand combat. They were way into choreographed dance and foreign objects. And I'm the opposite. And no, this wasn't worth it. Yeah, I'll take WWE because, you get WWE premium live events with your Peacock premium subscription. Like I'd have a maybe a much sterner view of WWE if it were costing $50 a pop. But
yeah,
$50. This was a really good dinner and a dessert and a hefty gratuity at my favorite Mexican restaurant in town. Or 3 awesome sandwiches from the same place or from the Chinese restaurant.
Now, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
What if it were free? Is it kind of like, oh, this is steep for what it is? Or
it's steep for what if it's free, I'm still questioning if this is the promotion for me.
Gotcha. Fair points.
I know they have great athletes there, and I know there is, like you're saying, they're trying. Maybe the problem is they're trying to be too much for too many people rather than having a style. It's like I heard a football analyst say this, about teams that don't have an identity. It's like restaurants where there's too much on the menu. You go to the best restaurants in the world, there's, a dozen things on the menu because that's what they do. And that's what you pick from.
Yeah.
But when you pick from one of those dozen things, it's going to be exquisite. Rather than you go to the 24-hour diner that has 150 things on the menu that they will make for you at any hour of the day and change it up if you want to change it up. It's all right, but it's it's going to be 24-hour diner food smorgasbord stuff.
Yeah. Um, so I really like it, and I really like the style. Tonight was
You
probably
like all of the styles, or is there like just you have a favorite thing that they hit on occasionally that you just don't get enough of elsewhere?
I like the ladder match.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so this is what I would say. This pay-per-view is probably their worst pay-per-view I've seen of them. So that's also part of it.
Okay.
I hated the end with
Okay.
the brawl. I liked the main event enough. I
A
liked the
four-way for the world title.
yeah, I liked
That
both
main
the
event.
tag
Okay.
matches. I thought they were pretty good. I really liked the Jade match. I kind of wish she just won and that was that. But
Okay.
you still have some stuff like the Jade match. She could have just won. And that would have been it. We don't have to have somebody Chris Statlander is here, and then she's like, I challenge you. She said, okay. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, just have Chris Statlander challenge Jade, come out, challenge Jade, and say, I want you on Dynamite.
Hmm.
We don't have to do it right then and there.
Sure.
Or just have her be in the pay-per-view, and that's the match, and have Jade drop it. I don't know. So there's some stuff that was really bothered. I was a little bothered with. I, on the other hand, find the announcing to be better than WWE.
Okay.
So, and the reason being is I really like JR and I really like Tony Schiavone. So
Okay.
I like Tony a lot and I like JR. Taz is a bit much. So I just try to filter him out. And the
What about
play
the
by
other guy
play.
who had the mask on? Okay.
So the guy that has the mask on is he's a nobody. He could be anybody. But he's like Michael Cole. I also, Michael
Okay.
Cole and the mask guy, they might be the same person and they both aren't very good.
Well, he's got a mask on. How can you tell?
It could be Michael Cole just altering his voice.
Sure.
He's saying everything's amazing when it's not, just like Cole, the mask guy. But yeah,
Tony
so
Schiavone, I remember this version of Tony Schiavone. I'm not impressed with.
oh really?
Yeah, I remember him from the WCW days. When he was more of a play-by-play guy. He has a legitimate sports background. He's called baseball before.
Yeah, he does minor league baseball, right?
So when he gets to do more of that straight man calling the action, I think he's better. That's the kind of stuff here. We'll do some inside baseball, pun intended. Um, when I called matches for NJCW, I called them like a sportscaster.
Mm-hmm.
And I specifically told, the guys who were promoting, I said, look, I don't want to know finishes or anything like that. Tell me who's in the match. If there are special storyline things I should be aware of, tell me. I'll sprinkle them in. But I want to call it like it's a sport. And Tony used to be pretty good at just play by play for pro wrestling. What he's doing now, where he's trying to be more of a yuckster,
Yeah.
I don't need it. And JR's that guy already. He's already the play by play guy. Let JR just handle that.
Yeah.
Maybe Tony swaps out for JR if JR needs a dinner break because it's a 4-hour show and you're just going to get tired.
JR was on the show, but he had some health problems, and then he
Okay.
backed out, and they kind of plugged him in with Taz. And Taz is just no JR. He just isn't.
No,
So I just don't.
he's trying too much to be a character.
Yeah, yeah, and he doesn't get anybody over.
But so he's a character. He's just putting himself over.
He's put himself over. That's all. Really.
That's the worst part when the announcer is putting nobody over but himself.
Yeah, he's not putting anybody over, and their job is to put people over.
Yes.
Oh my God, what a match! He's a great athlete.
Sure.
Oh man, and JR's always got the stats. Oh, JR's always going like, oh, he was a defensive tackle, Alabama, and he'll go off about his football career and all his credentials and his strength. He's a big hoss, stuff like that. Nobody seems to do that, which is like, explain to me why this guy's good. Tell me about his athletic background. Anyways, we're kind of getting close here to the end of the show, Dom. Anything?
Any other cheap heat? Any quick comments that came in from our streaming watchers there? Ron, I know you got 4 different ones to take a peek at. Nobody was brave enough to send us a live chat. That's all right. We had fun talking.
Come on, we got a couple more minutes here, folks. If you want to send us anything, we will talk about it, and if not, maybe we can drop off now. So we appreciate you joining. It's okay if you're going to be silent. That's
and
no
you can
problem.
disagree with us too. Like John, you and I disagree with each other sometimes. So feel free to We're not fishing for compliments here in the comments. Like send us something that shows you watched AEW and that you're paying attention. And fire away.
And listen, I know you guys are watching on Twitch, but we have a lot of content on YouTube. If you just search "Don't Bury the Lead," you should be able to see our site. We see your different videos. We have live streams every Friday night after WWE SmackDown. We have short videos that we create about wrestling.
Shorts on YouTube, the hashtag shorts ones, and several of those on TikTok. So our kind of archive of content is YouTube and TikTok. Our live streams are YouTube, Twitch, and we're also trying Facebook Live. And is Twitter up and running?
It's on Twitter as well.
On Twitter as well. Look at that. So we've got live streams in a few places, shorter videos on TikTok and YouTube, and really most content is on YouTube. Check us out on your favorite platforms. Give us some sort of feedback. A like, subscribe, comment if you are so inclined. But we welcome participation.
Yep. So I dropped the link in the chat for you guys. So
very good.
This link will take you to our YouTube channel, and it'd be great if you jumped in and subscribed. Our channel is really small. So if you subscribe to our channel, it's huge. Like we only have about 68 subscribers, and the goal is to get 100 by the end of the year. So 2 more would be awesome.
Hey, help us get our goal. If you like our content, help us out.
Yep. Okay, Dom. Well, I'll tell you what. I think it's time to hit the old dusty trail. Thanks for those who hung in here through Twitch and listened to us. We appreciate it. Very late at night here. So time to go to bed.
Do something in the morning in Jersey. It's the wee hours of Memorial Day here, Monday morning.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time, everyone. Appreciate it. Dom, as always, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Have a great rest of your evening.